If you have a startup, your startup LLC, and you're trying to have like a low doc loan, and things are really complicated, sometimes you just it's better to go to those alternative lenders. So you want to ditch your bank or credit union and go to alternative lenders such as Capital, Torro Capital, and Biz2Credit. So in today's conversation, I want to compare and contrast those three players when it comes to a startup LLC business loan with low doc. So here's a review I really want you to pay attention to. So the first lender I want to review today is Capital. So Capital is great for your startup LLC when it comes to business loan with low doc. Okay, and so the way they have actually packaged that low doc loan, they actually will lend you a working capital loan. Okay, whether you are an established business or a startup, Capital will work with you. Okay, and the thing what we love about the working capital loan for your LLC at Capital is that it's very flexible. We're speaking about funding that goes from $2,500 to $250,000, $2,500 to $250,000. This is a great, wonderful, sort of very generous delta here. Okay, and you have 6 to 24 month terms. And what we love about Capital in relation to your startup LLC business loan is that they actually tend to approve you real fast. And if approved, funds can be deposited as fast as the next business day. And what we love about what we love generally about Capital is that they will work with your startup LLC. So if you are looking for a business loan with low documentation and you want to first contact Capital before starting anything. Before you actually fill out the information on their website, you want to contact their loan reps and have a conversation. What will happen here is that they'll ask you a few questions about your startup LLC. And before they give you the business loan with low documentation, they'll ask you a few questions. And during that interview, if you will, it usually takes 5 to 10 minutes. So nothing complicated. If you don't want to call them, just email them. Like you go on the website, you fill out a form, and they'll contact you so you can start a convo. You need to start a conversation so they know a little more about your startup LLC before actually giving you the cash that you need. Okay, and so what happens here is that they'll ask you a few preliminary questions to learn more about your industry, to learn about your startup LLC, specifically the state where your LLC is incorporated, and they'll ask you more about the business loan itself. So fantastic. But if you are approved, you have automated ACH deduction and prepayment discount is available. Let's talk about the funding here. So how does the funding process work with Capital for your startup LLC? So by the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a wonderful pleasure to have you here to actually have this sort of conversation with you, to talk to you about this comparison. What we love about Capital is that they have a very straightforward application process for your startup LLC. So if you want to get a business loan, an LLC business loan with low documentation from Capital, step number one, you want to share your information. So what will happen here is that you will go on their website, and they have a one page. It takes about 7 minutes. When we tried it out, the first time we tried it out, it took 3 minutes. The second time we tested it out, it actually took about 7 minutes. I think they kind of added more information. But again, it's straightforward. It's a one page, nothing complicated. They ask you to share your information. You need to fill out a short application sharing information about you and your LLC business. Okay, so again, it's all about Capital having a clear idea about what you do. They just want to know what you're doing. Okay, and so you just make sure that you mention the state where your LLC is organized or formed, and they will ask you to provide information about your articles of organization. They might ask you to provide your certificate of good standing, or also tell them your registered agents. Okay, so option number one, you want to share your information. Option number two, you want to receive and review options. So what will happen here is that after you submit your preliminary information, Capital will review your information and respond without negatively impacting your credit. So basically, this is a soft pull. They will do a soft pull, and they will see what you can qualify for. So if pre-qualified, you want to choose the loan amount and term length that best fits your business needs, your LLC business needs. Okay, so that's step number two. Step number three, you want to close your loan. So you want to confirm you are ready and submit the final documents. And again, we're speaking about a low doc business loan here. So not a lot of documents, maybe your projected financials, maybe your business plan, and that's it. And what will happen here at that point, you can just e-sign your contract, and funds will be sent upon the lender's approval of the loan. Okay, if the lender approves the loan, you get your cash right away. So if you want to contact Can Capital, you can call 1-866-439-2755. 1-866-439-2755. Number two, I want to talk about Torro Capital. So Torro Capital is fantastic when it comes to your, let's say, when it comes to your startup LLC business loan doc, business loan with low doc. What we love about Torro Capital is actually they're very flexible. It's just fantastic, and they will help you. They'll help you get off the ground and really help you sort of lay out the foundation for a strong operational context within your startup LLC. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. I'm doing a compare and contrast between 3 lenders when it comes to startup LLC business loan low doc. So we are comparing and contrasting Can Capital, we're Biz2Credit, and Torro Capital. Let's talk about Torro Capital here. So Torro Capital, right off the bat, what we love about Torro Capital is that they actually finance a lot of I would say operational goals for your startup LLC. So if you have a business idea, let's say you want to your LLC is trying to develop a constellation of products or services. Okay, so Torro Capital will help you turn the idea and dream of owning an LLC business into reality. So we're speaking here about business development costs. We're talking about Torro helping you make critical purchases. Torro will help you with things like licensing, patents, and trademarks. Okay, so this is important in terms of development. Torro can also help you in terms of cash flow. So Torro will advance you the cash you need to start your new LLC, get up, running, and successful. So we're talking about technology investments, staffing and office space, advertising and marketing. So the bottom line here is that Torro will actually be there for you when it comes to giving you the cash you need, your startup LLC needs to move forward. Okay, and Torro is and the cool thing about Torro is that they will actually give you the cash real fast, and we're speaking up to $500,000, and these are low doc loans anyway. And it's really important to understand that with Torro, you want to be really responsive. Like if they ask you questions, you want to get back to them as soon as possible. Do not ghost them. The thing we love about Torro also is that they will help you also, they'll give you the cash also in terms of investments. Now, investment means what? Investment, let's say your startup LLC wants to, has seen an opportunity in the market and wants to purchase a business. So Torro Capital will give you the funds to help you take advantage of a rock solid opportunity. Like it can be a down payment or acquisition, or a franchise investment, or partnership buying capital. Okay, and the thing about Torro is that they give you the cash, as I just said, real fast, but it's just about how streamlined the whole process is. The process is really streamlined. Like there's no paperwork, no assets, no appraisal, no headache. So at Torro Capital, their funding programs do not require very limited asset verification, no business appraisal, and little to no paperwork. So this means in some cases, when you apply, you can get approval, sign and move on to bigger and better things. Okay, that's really it. So with Torro Capital, again, just want to recap here. We are speaking about maximum $500,000. You have a constellation of programs. Okay, they will help you when it comes to your startup LLC move on to the next level. They will help you also seize opportunity. They will help you get the cash to actually do, like, take care of payroll, whatever. So this is really good. And when we talk about startup LLC business loan or low doc, Torro Capital is really right there and there. And one thing we love about Torro Capital here is that, see, let's say they will adapt your startup LLC business loan with low doc to your state of formation. Let me give you an example. If you are in a state that requires certain investments, let's say you are in Georgia, or you are in North Carolina, or you are in my good old Mississippi. If you are in those states that require some expenses, some operational expenses based on the niche you're in, based on the sector you're in. So those are called initial expenses. If you don't have the cash for those, basically Torro will work with you and advance you the funds also for those startup LLC, I would say, initial expenses. This is important because if you don't have money to start, and when you do need to make those investments to start, you can see the conundrum, right? There's a dilemma here. So this, Torro Capital will help you solve this dilemma real fast. So this is really where Torro is really adding value in our view. The third lender I want to share with you, I want to talk about is Biz2Credit. Okay, but before I actually do anything, boss, I want to remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about, I'm actually comparing and contrasting 3 lenders when it comes to startup LLC business loan with low doc. So what about Biz2Credit? Biz2Credit is a fantastic lender. The cool thing about Biz2Credit here is that you have everything made simple for you. That's what we love about Biz2Credit. Like basically, you have an application form online. It takes about 8 minutes to actually fill out the form. They don't ask for a lot of information. But they ask you to actually give them an idea about how you want to use the funds. So the use of loan proceeds for them is really important. So if you're asking for, let's say for 25 grand or 250 grand, they want to know what you want to use the cash for. Okay. And so basically now with Biz2Credit, things go a little differently. You do not just apply randomly for a business loan. You need to sign up first. So if you want to get a startup LLC business loan with low documentation from Biz2Credit, you need to sign up. So they have an account. You basically have an account with them, and you can basically apply at the right moment. So they have different programs at Biz2Credit for your startup LLC. So they have working capital, they have term loan, and they also have CRE loans. And all this can apply to established LLC businesses or startup LLC businesses. So let's talk about working capital. So if you really apply for the working capital loan, your startup LLC can get a business loan with low doc, let's say between $25,000 and $2 million. This is a good delta. This is a good range here, $25,000 to $2 million. If you are looking for a term loan, your startup LLC can be approved for $25,000 all the way to $500,000. Again, this is really great because you can jumpstart business growth for your startup LLC. And if you get a CRE loan, CRE stands for commercial real estate loan, you can actually be approved for anywhere from $250,000 to $6 million. So again, wonderful delta here. Okay, so overall, this is fantastic. To actually get funding through Biz2Credit, you need to create your profile. It takes about one minute or two. You give them basic business information to help them understand your funding needs. Okay, and so your Biz2Credit profile gives you an ongoing option for funding your business, and then you submit your application. It takes about 4 minutes. Okay, so you just got to complete a short questionnaire and provide business documentation. You submit your documents as PDF or connect your business's bank account, and that's it. So nothing really complicated here. The third thing you have to do here is to find the best fit, like funding solutions. What will happen here is that once you submit your information, Biz2Credit will actually analyze everything and get back to you. Okay, and so they will see which type of funding will fit your startup LLC. And if you're looking for a business loan with low documentation, they will see whether or not you can be approved in the first place. Okay, and this might take 24 hours. So get your funding options and a decision within 24 hours after you submit a completed application. And the fourth step here is just to get funded. So you can see this is just a 4-step process, and this can happen within 48 hours. Everything can happen within 48 hours. So for working capital and term loans, your funds are made available within 48 hours of final approval. Okay, but for CRE loans, things might take a little longer. One thing I want to say here is that you need to understand that when it comes to Biz2Credit, the way you repay the loan, like the way your startup LLC repays the loan, depends on the particulars of your LLC business. Okay, so you need to so let me just quickly explain it to you. So for working capital, okay, you are basically paying back Biz2Credit from business receipts. So basically, and this is payable from receipts daily, weekly, and bi-monthly. So just be aware of that. So, Biz2Credit is going to require you to actually make payments on a daily basis. They might on a weekly basis or bi-monthly. So this could be a little disruptive for your cash, for your LLC, for your startup LLCs, a cash flow. But hey, listen, this is the condition you need to actually comply with to get the loan that you need in the first place. For the term loan, okay, the repayment might be weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly. So again, here, if they approve you for a monthly, if they approve you for a weekly repayment pattern, this could be a little disruptive to your cash flows. Think about that. If you get approved for a CRE loan for your startup LLC, you might have to, in this case, you're getting also only a repayment on a monthly basis. This is fine. So overall, one thing I want to say here is that when we think about Biz2Credit, we're thinking about a fantastic lender for startup LLCs because they actually cover all kinds of small businesses, all kinds of LLCs in all kinds of states. Okay, they do restaurants, hotels, gas stations, liquor stores, accountants, lawyers, insurance agencies, real estate agent, construction, doctors, pharmacy, franchise, the whole 9 yards. So you can see they have a large constellation of industries they cover. So if your ALC actually fits in those industries, they'll take care of you, not a problem. So that's the kind of flexibility I was talking about that we love when it comes to Biz2Credit. Okay, here is a decision I want you to really make right now. So startup LLC business loan low doc, Can Capital versus Torro Capital versus Biz2Credit. Okay, which one should you go after, boss? Let's have a convo about that. Now, the thing is when we talk about comparing and contrasting startup LLC business loan with low documentation, the bottom line here is that there are a few factors that play an important role. So, boss, let me ask you a question. Location is important. Where are you at? Where are you located? See, when it comes to loans, especially startup loans, the lender wants to pay attention to where you are because the conditions are not the same. You're not really evolving in the same market. If you actually apply for your startup LLC business loan with low doc in New York, let's say in Brooklyn, New York, the conditions are not the same as if you are in Delaware. Like if you are in Dover, Delaware, for example, or you are, it really depends. If you are in Chicago, Illinois, or if you are in Dallas, Texas, the conditions are different. So location, your business financials. So your ALC, your startup LLC's business financials. Obviously, if you're a startup, you probably don't have like actual results yet. So you're going to have to rely on, let's say, like projections, estimated data. So this is important. So the strength of the kind of, the strength of your projections will play an important role. What about your funding needs? What does your startup LLC needs? Okay, let's talk about that. Your credit score, your personal credit score, because see, the whole thing is, even though we're speaking about a low doc business loan, your credit score will also play an important role because the lender, whether we're speaking about Can Capital, Torro Capital, or Biz2Credit, will take a look at your credit score and see, okay, does this LLC qualify, or does this LLC founder qualify for the loan in the first place? Okay, but there are other ways to actually qualify for the loan without taking into account your credit score. That's if you apply with EIN only, and this option does exist. Okay, and you also have to think about the paperwork amount, because remember, this is a low doc. We're speaking here about low doc loans, so some lenders might still ask you for extra paperwork depending on the industry you're in, or depending on the particulars of your LLC or your LLC startup. Okay. Also, the funding timing, how quickly you need the cash. You need the cash like yesterday, or you're good to go. You can just chill and just wait for the cash to be sent to you within 1 month or within 2 weeks or whatever. So depending on how fast you want the cash, you might actually go, let's say, go with Can Capital or Torro Capital or Biz2Credit. It really depends. So after analyzing, comparing, and contrasting Can Capital, Biz2Credit, and Torro Capital for startup LLC business loans with low doc, our winner is Torro Capital. So we think Torro Capital is the best of the three here. Okay, so we have rated Torro Capital 9.8 over 10, Can Capital 9.5 over 10, and Biz2Credit 9.4 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just doing a quick compare and contrast between Torro Capital, Can Capital, and Biz2Credit. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.